Hello, friends. First of all, wish you all a very happy, prosperous, and safe Diwali. Well, welcome to the Kumbi Jikko Show. This is the review of the first ODI of the three-match series, India versus Australia in Perth. It was not an ideal Diwali gift from the Indian men's team in Perth, having lost to Australia in the opening one-dayer, though it was a stop-start kind of a match with at least 3 interruptions due to rain. To discuss this and much more, including the comeback to international cricket after a long gap of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, is our good old friend, expert, cricketer-turned-umpire, K. Srinath. Welcome, Sri. Happy Diwali to you and your family. Wish you all the best. Welcome to the Kumbi Jikko Show. Your thoughts on the first ODI in Perth?
Thanks, Jiko. Wishing all the viewers a very happy and safe Diwali. Yes, not an ideal start, for a three-match ODI series. India having come off a couple of test series and having played on slow tracks in India. So they found it a bit difficult to adapt to the, bouncier and pace-filled wicket at Perth. So having said that, not an ideal toss to lose actually, because conditions were overcast and as you said, not easy to, get back into the hut, come back again, restart. But yes, unfortunately, the result is there. Australia, comfortably uh, coasting to a 7-wicket victory, with a few overs to spare. So that's it. I think, like it is like baptism by fire. When you get into Australia and you end up playing in Perth, the fastest wicket in Australia. So Indians were found wanting. But anyway, there's time for them to regroup and hopefully, they'll be off the lag and the boys can get back to their groove and put up a better show in the next 2 games coming up.
The focus was on the two former captains, Rocco, and it was disappointing that they didn't get to good starts. They didn't get off to even double digits. How would you explain that?
Look, both of them have been match winners. They've been leaders of the Indian team for quite some time. Having said that, both of them have been out of international cricket. Both of them have retired from Test cricket as well as T20 format. The very important thing is you can get any number of sessions in nets and do those simulations. But the game time in a real match situation is very, very important. I thought that was very much visible. Of course, Rohit got a brilliant ball, the bounce, and he was undone and caught its second slip. Again, Virat was found a bit wanting and a bit rusty. 7 balls, he was not off the mark, and again, a shot away from the body, which has been his downfall towards the end of his career in Test match cricket, where he was nicked off or caught at slips, and he was consumed at point of the bowling of Stark. Not an ideal start, but I think the hype created around saying the comeback of Rocco, and they were easily rocked by the Australian pace attack duo of Mitchell Stark and Josh Hazelwood. Well, yes, not an ideal start for both of them, but the wealth of experience they have and the way they have prepared earlier. The only worry for me is the amount of game time they've had. So I think because this is a quick series, we hardly have 2 more games to go, and it just happens in the next 5 or 6 days. And post that again, they're not going to be a part of the T20 squad. So quick turnaround, and certainly they need to be on the top of the game. And I'm pretty sure that with the wealth of experience they've had behind them, I think certainly they can play out of the memory and start getting into the groove.
See, last week at a social gathering, a former selector said that it would have been ideal for Rocco to have gone early to Australia and prepared rather than practice in Mumbai and London respectively, because entirely different conditions to what they are going to expect in Australia. Do you think along similar lines? Should they have gone early than the team and got acclimatized to the conditions, because they were coming back playing competitive cricket after a long gap?
Look, it could have been possibly an ideal situation, but having said that, both of them, the amount of time they've spent at the topmost level and the number of tours that they've made to Australia, it's not alien, conditions for them. The ideal preparation would have been that. But again, what would they do? Just both of them traveling there and, trying to have a knock against net bowlers there who certainly wouldn't be of the quality of a Hazelwood or a Stark. So, I mean, once they fail, a lot of people start pointing fingers whether the right calls were made in getting them back on track or whatever. But, again, it's all opinions. And a lot of former cricketers have different views, saying that India should not have been playing after such, test series and immediately getting on to red ball cricket. 9 days gap, they got into a grueling five test match series in England. So these boys are, mentally strong and highly adaptive. So changing from one format to another is like, fish taking to water for them. So yeah, ideally it could have been possible, but having said that, again, the amount of time you spend in the nets is not, any substitute for what game time you get in a real match scenario.
And neither did the new ODI captain Shubman Gill get off to a good start, both on the results point of view as well as his individual batting point of view. But it's too early to judge him in ODI cricket and captaining ODI cricket, isn't it?
Absolutely. Actually, he's had a phenomenal, record in ODI cricket. Early times, because his first game as captain of the Indian ODI team. In fact, a very unfortunate dismissal, getting tangled down the leg. I was a bit, disappointed with the way Shreyas Iyer got out. Was the bogey of again the short ball? These guys bowling into his rib cage and gloved the ball down the leg. That was disappointing. But I think the only spark was 230s from KL Rahul and Akshar Patel was only the saving grace for India. I thought, though it got reduced ultimately a 26 over a side game, India is used to playing so much of T20 cricket. I thought, big boundaries, that's where many a time, most of these cricketers are found wanting. The amount of, catches that went in the deep, including even when the Australians were batting. So when you play on smaller grounds, it's easier for you to clear, the boundaries with ease. But whereas here we saw people like Akshar Patel, KL Rahul, all these guys get caught in the deep, well, 10 meters well inside the boundary. So barring these two, I think the rest of the batting order was found wanting. And obviously, on expected lines, I would say rustiness, Virat and Rohit Sharma not getting runs, not a surprise. But, bouncing back for them within a short period of time is going to be a challenge. And certainly they are capable of doing it.
Yeah, the two 30s from Rahul and Akshar and a couple of sixes from debutant Nitish Reddy took India to 136. But it was not a challenging total because Australia just reached there with plenty to spare in the 22nd over. What can this stop and start do to a team in terms of setting targets and also to the bowling team, because you determine the number of overs per bowler and then that keeps reducing. So how does that affect the bowling team and the batting team, how they go about the setting the target?
See, typically in a rain-affected scenario, I think the team batting second always is ahead in the game because they're always aware of the target. So in a 50-over game, 20 overs is the minimum number of overs to constitute a game. Now, when the game got reduced to 26, which is like five bowlers to bowl. Four can bowl five plus one can bowl five plus one six. That's how it's divided one by 1/5 of the divisible factor is what is the quota for each bowler. I think per se in terms of bowling, they would not have found it difficult because they played only one left arm spinner and so they didn't have a problem with that. So coming to faster bowlers, when the covers were on, the covers were removed. It again created that sort of doubt in the mind of the batters. They had to again reset themselves, and the faster bowlers had a field day, especially the likes of Hazelwood and Mitchell Stark, and also Nathan Ellis also was amongst wickets, and even Owen, he picked up a couple. So overall, it was a clinical performance, I would say, by Australian bowlers because they knew what was in front of them. So 26 was the number of overs they had to bowl and restrict India. And 131 target after the DLS method was used to rework the target. I think in modern day cricket, 131 in 26, I think should be a walk in the park for quality sides, unless there's a devastating opening spell when you get the opposition in the first 3 or 4 overs, 3 or 4 for nothing. So I think mentally it becomes an issue to adapt, especially per se in terms of the batting side. because they've traveled from the subcontinent into Australia. So if this happens in the second or third game, certainly the situation would be different for India because they would have already had some game time under their belt. So it's tough, actually to point a finger and say, but overall it was, not a pretty sight and a scorecard as far as the top 4 or 5 were concerned for India.
And India would have fancied their chances having removed their nemesis Travis Head for a single-digit score, and even Matthew Short was short of runs, but there was no stopping Mitchell Marsh, their captain. And could India have done something different with the bowling lineup they had? And very happy with the playing 11 that India went with. There was no Kuldeep Yadav yet again outside of India.
I mean, I don't know how the management perceives this whole process of why no Kuldeep in overseas conditions. Look, there was bounce in the pitch and big boundaries. Why wouldn't you play a regular spinner and a wrist spinner there? What value addition do you expect from Washington Sundar in those conditions? The ball didn't turn. At least Aksar I can understand is a good batter. So is Washi. Aksar can vary his pace and he's done well in both the formats, T20 and 50 over cricket. Now, when you have three seamers up front with a backup of Nitish Reddy, now the option for you is you have an Aksar Patel, play Kuldeep Yadav. Big boundaries, he can create some doubt in the mind of the Aussies. Now, don't tell me you're going to hold him back in the last game against Sydney where you're going to get conditions that are a bit familiar and, conducive for spinners. So certainly, yes, as we were discussing, no Jaiswal, no Jurel. It was a no-brainer because obviously they wouldn't find places. Harshit Rana playing ahead of Prasidh Krishna, that was a call that they had to take. Now the only choice was why leave Kuldeep out? So I think I would have gone ahead and played Kuldeep in place of Washington Sundar. But anyway, that's a call that the management has taken. Whether will they rework again? Because Adelaide again the side boundaries are much shorter and the longer boundaries are bigger. So somebody who can employ the sweep well again, they might say that shorter boundaries could be tough and leave Kuldeep out of the equation again. But this is really bewildering and surprising time and again. And the sort of form he's in and at the back of a successful series is come in. I was really surprised at the omission of Kuldeep.
Definitely, most were surprised. Now, with the 3 days gap in between, the next match is in Adelaide on Thursday. What should India be doing to just square the series going into the fifth, the decider in Sydney the next Sunday?
Look, conditions in Adelaide would certainly be much more batter friendly. And before getting into that, I thought, you were talking about what the Indian bowling lineup could have done better. I thought Mitchell Marsh, post, his development more as a batter, and when he stopped bowling because of the injury, he's looked a much more mature batter. And this particular Australian team in the first game, relatively inexperienced and young side, he took the onus upon himself. He played the first 8 or 10 balls and he was just not out on 2. When he assessed the conditions, and Perth is his backyard, the amount of cricket he's played there, he knows the conditions in and out. And then the sort of shots he got out of his repertoire, hitting Siraj over cover for a 6, and then picking up back of the length ball from Arshdeep into deep mid wicket. I think he paced out his innings very well. And mind you, the cameo from Philippe, because he was available for this game. Otherwise, his place would have easily been taken by somebody like an Alex Carey or Josh English. I think, he grabbed the opportunity with both hands and he came good. That's one side of it. And now talking about what India could do at Adelaide. Definitely better conditions, better friendly conditions. And it's just about, Rohit and Virat Kohli spending some time in the middle and getting well. So I think that would be, the key for India. And if they can fire and somebody like Shubman Gill or a Shreyas Iyer can match there, and certainly it won't be a case wherein it's going to be a score of 130, 135. It will certainly be a high scoring game. It's about India clicking as a batting unit, and certainly they'll give Australia a run for the money.
Would you say Australia had a perfect game, everything going their way, except for one drop catch by Matthew Renshaw in the deep towards the end of Indian innings? Their keeper, Philippe, holding on to the catches, including 2 down the leg side. Was it a perfect game, or would you say they still have to work their way around?
I would say it was a clinical performance. They wouldn't be, unhappy with the way they went about their job. If there's a scorecard today for Australia, I think, they would proudly say that we were, 9 on 10. Because especially when it comes to fielding and catching, they take a lot of pride in that. And, they've been one of the best fielding and catching units for a very, very long time in world cricket, like South Africa. So they won't be perturbed. And obviously, this team was announced only for the first ODI. And we would definitely see some changes coming up for the second ODI. Maybe the likes of English or Carey might make a comeback, including Zampa. So then it all boils down to what sort of changes they would make in their playing 11. But as far as the first game is concerned, I think they had a near perfect game, and they would certainly be happy with the way they went about their job.
Yeah, hopefully in the second ODI, India put up a clinical performance like Australia and level the series. So on that note, thank you very much, Sri. Fantastic thoughts on the opening ODI. And thank you, viewers. Wish you all the best for a very happy Diwali. Stay safe and see you again next time. Bye-bye. Thank you, Sri.
Thank you, Jiko. Thank you.